What you guys, got another video here for you. Do this after installing Windows 11 LTSC or Windows 11 IoT LTSC versions of Windows. You can see we are running the IoT LTSC version here, and we have legacy apps installed on the system. Now, quite a few people have asked me about how you can set up this to get it working as a desktop PC, and we'll go through all that in this video. Now, you pick and choose what bits you want to install and what bits you don't want to install, but generally you're going to need to install some bits into this version of Windows to make it functional and working on a PC that you're going to be using as a desktop PC rather than as a, say for instance, a kiosk or ATM machine or something like that. So as you can see, it's got pretty basic setup and it is missing quite a few different things. So let's go through and we'll take a look at how we can set this up. If you want to see videos on debloating it and basically setting up group policy or something like that, then let me know in the comments section down below and I'll be happy to make that video for you. You can see it's not activated. We are on a virtual machine here, but I'll show you some of the things that you might need to do if you want to watch movies on here or you want to open up photos and things like that. A lot of those things are going to be missing on the Windows 11 IoT Enterprise editions of Windows. So the first thing you're going to need is a app, and you can install the Microsoft Photos. Maybe you want to install the Microsoft Photos app. It is a pretty good app in my opinion, and it's worthy of installing on a system to view all of your photos and organize them on your PC. So it's definitely worth installing this. Unless you want to use some sort of third-party photo app, that's entirely up to you. But I'll leave links for all of these in the video description for you so you can set this up and make it more of a desktop PC. So that is the photo app. Now, they also do have a legacy version of this. This is the full-blown version. So if you want that, then by all means, you can click on the link in the video description and download it from Microsoft site. Let me show you the next thing you're going to need if you want it, and that is Xbox. If you use the Xbox app and you play games on here, then you will need to download the Xbox app. Not everyone's going to want to use this, but if you do, then by all means you'll need to download it and install it onto the system. You can even download it from Xbox themselves and install the app that way, or you can use the Microsoft Store and download it from there. It's entirely up to you. They both install the same app, and it's going to allow you to play all your games. If you have a Xbox and you do use the Xbox app, you're going to need to put that onto the system. And of course, because this is an IoT LTSC version of Windows, it doesn't come with this pre-installed on the system. So if you do need it, then download and install it. So let's go ahead and install that. And once that's done, you'll be able to play all of your games and use a controller. So if you have a controller that you want to use on the computer, you will need something like this to be able to play those games. And of course, once it's installed, it'll look something like this. And we can even install the Microsoft Store from here. And I'll show you that a little bit later on because you'll need to install this to get the Microsoft Store installed, because obviously this version of Windows doesn't have the Microsoft Store. And if you use the Microsoft Store to play games and other things like that, then obviously you will need to install it. Now, down the bottom, you'll see an error code, and that's because we don't have all of the files, and I'll show you where to get those as well to open up images and documents and things like that. So first off, Paint is another thing that you've got installed. It's the legacy version that you'll have installed here. If you're happy with the legacy version, by all means, if you want the more advanced version, you can download that from the Microsoft Store as well. I'm going to leave it as the legacy version here, but this is the more advanced version if you want it. I know not everyone is going to want Copilot, but there might be some people that do want it, and you can install Copilot on this version of Windows if you want to use Copilot. I'm going to leave it off the system, but it's there if you need it. Like I said before, if you want to keep everything legacy, you can use the Microsoft Photos legacy app as well and download and install that rather than using the full-blown Microsoft Photos app that I installed earlier. You may want to use the Microsoft Windows Calculator, the very latest version, and download that and install it, because the version we're running on this version of Windows is the legacy version. If you want the more advanced version, by all means download and install it, and it gives you a lot more features. If you use the calculator quite a lot on your PC, then you might want to upgrade it to the latest version, because it is a lot better than the legacy version. It gives you a lot more features on here if you use that particular type of app. Don't worry about these error codes. We'll fix those a little bit later on. But as you can see now, we're starting to get duplicate apps on here because we are installing the same app, but it's a more modern, updated app. But I'll show you how to take care of that a little bit later on. So you can see in the app section right here, you'll see that we will have all of these services that we've already got installed on the system. Now, you may be wondering, what is the point of using an IoT LTSC version if you're going to go and install all of this bloat back onto the system? Well, this is not bloat. This is, applications that people will use on Windows, and you may need to use them to get things working. For instance, Windows Scan is going to be used for your scanner and for printing and things like that. And it doesn't come with any of this installed on the system. So if you have a printer and you don't want to use the bloated HP or any of the other types of printing software that comes with that particular printer because it's bloated, you can use something like this, which is pretty lightweight, that will help you scan your documents. Again, choose what you want to install on your system. You don't have to install any of this stuff. Install what you need on your PC. So let's move on to the next one, and that is the .NET framework. If you need to play games and do a lot of other stuff like applications, you're probably going to need some .NET frameworks on your system. So you might want to go ahead and download the latest .NET framework for that build, because it doesn't come pre-installed on the system. So go ahead and download that and install it, and you should be pretty much good to go for applications and also some games. Now, there's also older versions of the .NET framework that you might need if you play some older games or you use certain types of programs that need that version of .NET framework. You can either download them from Microsoft, and I'll show you that in a second. Right here, you can see there's a big long list of these, and I'll leave the link for this in the video description, where you can download what versions you want if it's required. Some people like to download the 3.5 SP1 version, which is quite old at 2008, but some people need it on their system. And this is what you'll have to do. You have to go through and download these and install them as you need. Okay, so that is the .NET framework. Now, also, you're going to need some other files if you play retro games and other types of games. You might need to download the DirectX installer. Now, this will have all of the DirectX versions on it, including all the old ones. So if you play games, you're definitely going to need something like this installed, because remember, Windows 11 IoT LTSC versions don't have all of this on the system. So I'm going to go ahead and install this on this system so we don't have any issues. Just uncheck the install the Bing bar, because you're not probably going to need that. So uncheck mark that and then click next. And then you'll see as it starts to install these, it installs all of the versions on here. So you'll see older versions of the DirectX on here, and you'll also see some of the more newer ones being installed on the system. So let me quickly go through here, and you'll see it's installing all of the DirectXs and all of the DLL files that you're going to need to run certain applications and games on that system. So it's always advisable to install those on a system like this. Next, the Microsoft Visual C++ redistributions. You might need some of these if you're playing some retro games or you're playing some form of games online. You might need some of these, so you might want to download some of these and get them installed on the PC. You can see from 2015 here, there's a x86 and an x64 versions here. You can download which ones you need and basically go ahead and get them installed. So I'm going to go ahead and install these on the system. And you can see that's now successfully installed. I'll leave links for all of these in the video description for you. These are all directly from Microsoft, so there's no risk here. You can do these in a bundle like this right here, but I find it just as easy just to go to Microsoft and use their website to download these. So I'll probably leave this one out and you can get them directly from Microsoft. That way you know it's safe. Now, if you've got a pretty high-end monitor and it does have HDR, then you might want to download the Windows HDR calibration tool, and you can get this from the Microsoft Store as well. And once you get this downloaded, it will help you calibrate your HDR display and to optimize it for HDR games. Now, because I'm on a virtual machine here, it's not going to detect my HDR monitor. It's going to be using the on-screen display for the virtual machine. So it will tell me that there is no HDR support for my monitor, but it does support it. It's just that I'm in a virtual machine, but this is what you would get, and you can then calibrate your monitor. So let's move on to the next things that you might need, which is Notepad. Now, it does come with a legacy Notepad installed. That might be fine for you, but if you want the more modern Notepad with the tabs and all that sort of good stuff, then you might want to download this version of the Notepad. If you don't want any part of these notepads and you use Notepad++, that's the alternative to move away from Microsoft's applications altogether. That's entirely up to you. You can use alternatives other than using the Microsoft apps, but I'm trying to show you that you can use these even on the IoT LTSC versions of Windows. The only problem is that does have Copilot here built into the Notepad. So if that's a deal breaker for you, then keep it as the legacy version. So when we go back into the installed apps, you'll see that we're starting to get apps installed, and there's some duplicates in here that we're going to have to deal with a little bit later on. So let's go ahead and continue with the installation process of some of the apps. Snipping tool is another tool that has a legacy tool already installed on here. It doesn't allow you to record the screen or anything like that. And if that's a deal breaker and you do want that snipping tool installed, then of course you need to download it from the Microsoft Store, and you can install it and upgrade the snipping tool to be able to record the screen with audio and stuff like that. Then by all means download the snipping tool. If not, if you don't use snipping tool, then uninstall the snipping tool. Even the legacy version can be uninstalled, and you can use third-party software to do that instead. Now, I never use sticky notes, but if you do use sticky notes and it's missing, then you'll need to download that and install it onto the system. I personally don't use it, but if you do, there's a link in the video description for you. Windows Media Player is also missing on the IoT LTSC versions. If you do use the Windows Media Player, by all means, download it and install it on the system. Some people like it and they want it back on the system. Of course, IoT versions don't come with this pre-installed, so you'll have to download and install it. Now, of course, you can use alternatives like many of the other media players out there, like VLC or any of the other ones out there that you might want to use on your system if you want to completely do away with the Microsoft apps altogether. Now, if you want the Microsoft Store, then you'll need to open up the Xbox app and go up to the little bell icon right here, and this will allow you to install all of the dependencies, which is the app installer, the feedback hub, the game bar, and Xbox game experience. This will install all of these on the system. So you might want to install all of these to get this to work properly. So let me just go ahead and do that right here. Could have done that earlier on, but I wanted to leave this to this stage of the video so we can show you how to install the other components to stop this error code coming up on the bottom. And this is because we don't have those particular apps installed on the system, which is dealing with images and text and other things like that. So what we're going to do is let this all install, and we'll restart the PC, and we should have the Microsoft Store installed on this PC. Now let me just finish this off, and we can close this down here, and let's have a little look for the Microsoft Store. So that is the app installed, and you'll see now in the list we do have that Microsoft Store. So I'm going to quickly restart the system just to make sure that everything is installed correctly. And once we get back to the desktop, we can go ahead and just finish off with the last few things that you might need to install on this version of Windows. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Microsoft Store right here. And I'm going to right click on this and put this on the taskbar right here. Now we can open up this application from here because you're going to need to have this to install these next apps that you're going to need for your images and things like that on the web. So let's go ahead and put them onto the system. The first one is HEIF image and extension, and we're going to get this from the Microsoft Store. Now, this won't install unless you have the Microsoft Store installed on your system, unless you do it in an unorthodox way, which is not recommended. It's always best to do it this way. So that's that extension installed. And what we need to do is the next one, which is the VP9 video extension. And again, this is any video app on your Windows 10 device. It says VP9 is a popular video codec for streaming. And basically, that's what you're going to need. So HEVC, also, this is another video extension. This is unfortunately charged inside the Microsoft Store. But there is ways of getting this codec as well if you need it, and I'll share that in a second. But if you do need it, you can get it. You're definitely going to need this one, Web Media Extensions. This is for Microsoft's Edge. If you use Microsoft Edge, you're going to need that. This is a definite as well, WebP image extension. This will allow you to view all of your images in the Windows File Explorer, photos and stuff like that. You're going to need this on the system as well. So download that and install that on the system. These are all missing on the IoT LTSC versions, and you will definitely need them for them to work properly as a desktop PC. Where do I get all this information from? It's clearly stated on all of Microsoft's websites. You can see right here, tells you about all of the stuff you're going to need to install, and it explains what you need it for and how to get it all up and running. I'll leave links for all of this stuff in the video description for you, so you don't have any issues when you're playing back videos or opening up photos or images off the web and things like that. It should work perfectly fine once you install all of this stuff. You definitely do need this section of the video. You can skip some of the other stuff if you want, but you'll definitely need this. Now, you can opt in for VLC as well, which comes packed with good codecs which you can use, which will help video playback and things like that on the system. If you've got your other types of media players that you like to use, by all means, go ahead and use those. But VLC has literally tons of codecs that will work on all different file types, and it will be useful when you're playing back video. So definitely get these on the system. You shouldn't need any third-party codecs, but if you do, this site has been around for many, many years and you can use it. I've shown you this before, but if you do like to use codec packs, then this is probably the safest place to get them. I personally don't install stuff like this on my PC, but the choice is yours. I won't be leaving a link for this in the video description, but if you do want to use it, by all means, you can do. And next up, we're going to be looking at removing some of the other packages. Now, Microsoft clearly state how to do this on their website, which is the learn.microsoft.com, and it will tell you how to remove unwanted packages from your PC. And again, I've made videos on how to do this. You can either uninstall them in the conventional way, or you can do it via PowerShell if you want to. So let's open up PowerShell and run this as administrator here. And you should see something looking like this. Just put in that command and it's going to remove the old legacy calculator. And you will have to get the list of the other apps that you want to remove, and you can remove them like that. Or you could just go into the app section right here and you can look at the three dots and find the duplicate ones and just click on uninstall. And it will uninstall these applications. Just like this. So we're going to click on the one at the bottom because that's the old version and click uninstall. And it should say yes to the user account control and uninstall the legacy app from the PC. And again, if you don't use any of these, then uninstall them. You don't need them on the PC, but you will need some of the bits and pieces that you have on the system. So that's that done. And that's basically it. That's basically how you can get some of the apps that you might use on a Windows IoT LTSC version of Windows. And some of these will be essential to people. You might want to upgrade your PowerShell application as well, and you can get that from the Microsoft Store as well, because the version on your PC might be old and you might want to download the very latest version, and you can do that. And you will need to use the .NET framework, as you can see right there on the screen. So you need to download those as well. And once you've done all of this, you should be pretty much up and ready to go. You might need to debloat the system a little bit and take care of some telemetry and privacy concerns. And if you want to see a video on that, then let me know in the video comments. Anyway, but that's it. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Big shout out to my YouTube members. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.